I started working for record labels. I was actually still in school, and it was the days where record labels still had a lot of money. So we had to send a lot of CDs to the press, right? So we had to do these massive mail-outs to the press. And I was the one in the mail room having to put 1,000 CDs in an envelope, put a sticker on it and send it out. That's kind of how I started in the industry, working for record labels. And then that was still when I was in Hamburg. That's where I'm from. I'm from Germany. I'm from Hamburg. I moved to London and worked for a few record labels there. One of them was Ministry of Sound, of course, you know, the big dance label. And at one point, because I had a bit of a digital background anyway, I was like programming websites for those record labels. At one point I was approached by a friend of mine who was the founder of Last.fm, and he asked me if I could work for them. And it was interesting because back then, this was in 2005, the job description was, we need someone who can talk to labels. We didn't know what we were going to talk to them about. We didn't actually know what's going to happen, but there was this website that was dealing with music that had to somehow talk to labels. So I got the job there. I was working there for 4 years. It turned out, which I didn't know at that point, of course, you know, it was a very small company, that it was going to become very, very popular and very successful. It was sold to CBS for $260 million, I think, some sort of stupid amount. I was there for 4 years, and recently I moved to Canada, to Vancouver, to start up a consultancy business. The term consultancy is a bit strange. I don't really see myself as a consultant. I don't want to consult someone else how to do a job. I want to do a job for them. So I more see myself as a contractor, you know, like a freelance guy who can deal with stuff, you know, and I focus on business development and content licensing, which is what I've done before at Last.fm.
So the content licensing that you're talking about, you're talking about companies, technology-based companies primarily, that are looking to acquire content for use.
That's right.
In what sort of, currently, you know, what are some of the projects that you'd be working on, just to give us an idea?
I think there are a lot of people out there, this is a good thing, there's a lot of people out there that have a technology background, that like music, that have great ideas how we could deliver music to the consumer out there in new ways and different ways. But often those individuals that run those companies don't understand the music industry, and especially the recording industry, and as we all know, is a very complex industry. And it seems to be that there is a lot of education that needs to be done. So I'm trying to help those guys specifically and just explain to them how it works and what kind of rights they need to secure by whom and how that can be done and what kind of organizations are part of that.
So it's a rights management process, really?
In a way, yeah, in a way. I mean, I always feel there's like two parts to it, where first of all you have to license the content. So let's just use an example just to make it simple. We start a website and we stream music. I mean, let's just make it very simple. First of all, we need to license the content. We need to go to those record labels or collection societies, and depending on where you are and what exactly you do, and you need to license the content in, so you have it and you have to pay some sort of money and you can start streaming. Well, that's only like the small part of the job, because you still have to continue work on those relationships. You might have to pay royalties, you might have to report, you might have to deal with marketing stuff. So this is ongoing work that needs to be done between someone who's using music and the rights owner. So it's a long job that needs to be done.
Do you find with some of the, I guess, newer, unexplored models that are in the market, that the take-up by record labels is beginning to improve, whereas, you know, say 5-10 years ago it was just about withholding content until you could actually understand what it was?
Absolutely. I really distinctly remember the first meetings I had when I worked for Last.fm. First meetings, and I would walk into the record labels and sort of show them what Last.fm does or could be doing and what we want to do. And there was no understanding. They had no idea what I was talking about. For them, it was just like this internet thing. And to an extent back then, even in 2005, for some people in the record labels, they knew two companies. iTunes, because that was kind of the only digital company that was making money at the time, and Napster, because that's what supposedly destroyed and continues to destroy their business. So those are two companies that know. And everything else in between, they didn't really know. They were interested, but there was really a lack of knowledge. Now I really feel that the individuals working for those companies smarten up, and they maybe use those services more, and they read the right blogs and newspapers, etc., etc. Yeah, and that's a good thing. And that's a good thing. What I can see right now, especially from what you read in the press, is that there still is an issue about some of the content owners not really enabling and supporting innovation, and I find it very dangerous. Because this is what we need right now. I mean, obviously technology has changed the way that we consume music and all kinds of other media and entertainment. But if we stick to music, it has changed the way we find music, consume music, recommend music, distribute music. And you know, the content owners should be part of that. They should be part of that whole mechanism, part of that evolving landscape in order for them to keep making money.
The independents usually are very early adopters of these sorts of technologies. Do you see any innovation being driven? Quite often, a lot of the innovation is done by tech companies, who then, and as you're sort of sitting in the middle of the technology and the content owners and trying to marry the two.
Right.
There seems to be very little innovation actually done by record companies.
Yes, the record companies themselves, they don't innovate that much on that side, and I understand that. You don't have the time to come up with new ways to distribute your music. I mean, you're busy enough dealing with your artist, signing stuff, marketing it, distributing it, etc., etc. And there's a place, and you have a certain knowledge base that you should work on, and I think that's totally fair enough. I think what is important that you have that conversation with new models and new technologies out there, new companies out there, and help them, or at least talk to them while they're coming up with new ideas. You just said that the independent labels are normally more supportive of those new technologies. I actually disagree with that. The independent labels, many independent labels, and this is especially true for like bigger independent labels, they are just as controlling about their content as the major labels, which is probably their job, and maybe that's a good thing. But it doesn't really help. It doesn't really help anyone. I think it's the really small independent labels. Maybe those are not called labels anymore. Maybe those are just the artists or the management companies or some sort of circle of friends around the artists. They try new things. They really try new things, and it works for them. But it's a small scale, right?
In terms of this changing landscape that you referred to before, with your crystal ball in hand, what sort of things are you perceiving might be possible, say, within the next 5 years?
Well, one thing, this is not a new thing, this is already happening right now, and it's going to continue to happen, and it's a very, very, very important change in how we access information and entertainment, is that the actual data around entertainment, so let's say the WAV file or the video file, will not be in our hands, not be in our computer, not on our disks, not on our bigger disks or smaller disks or tapes. It's what they say in the cloud. So we access information or entertainment not by opening up our laptop and starting it, or put out our CDs and put it in, but we access through the internet, through the web. We access information out there. This is a huge change. There's a huge shift, right? Because suddenly it's not about the ownership, but it's about just accessing it. And in a way, this is maybe a different interview we should do about how does it change generally the way that we access information outside of music. But just related to music, this is quite clearly how we're going to access music in the future. And again, there's all these question marks now around how are artists going to get paid, how does it work on a licensing level, where's value being generated, etc., etc. So it's an interesting change, and it's an important change. It's also actually, as a music fan, and I actually like music, as a very convenient change, because I have to worry about my CDs anymore, or about my hard drive and backing it up. I don't want to deal with that, to be honest. You know, I have no interest in cleaning my CDs. You know, I just want to listen to music. I'm actually a music fan. I don't see CDs or books, for that matter, as a sort of piece of furniture. But lots of people like to have that collection. I'm just not into that. I never had that sort of that idea that I need to see myself how much music I own or show it to other people. You know, I'm happy to just go to these services. Spotify is one of the services that does that, very successful in Europe, and there's a few in the States as well. I started like Thumbplay and Morgan and RDO, and that's going to change a lot.
In terms of the context of what you do, how is an event like Big Sound important for you as an event in your calendar?
So, after I left Last.fm, I have to do a lot of. It's a strange thing, but I have to reintroduce myself to a whole bunch of people. Those are people I already know and have good relationships with, but for them, I was Jonas from Last.fm, right? There was a clear connection there, so I kind of had to like go out and explain to people what I do now, what I want to do, and you know, and sort of build up your network again in a strange way, and that's that was new to me. So I had to like understand like what do I need to do and what's working, and I really just a couple of months ago I came to this weird conclusion that so we have all these digital ways of communicating, right? Tons of them. You've got your emails, you've got your text messages, and you've got your Facebook and your Twitter, and I'm talking to people all the time. All the time I'm talking to someone digitally, and it doesn't mean anything. You have to show up. You have to show your face. And it's so counterintuitive, because email was supposed to be like the solution that we don't have to travel as much anymore, and we save so much money now on travel because we can email people and communicate that way. But it was the other way around. Now there are so many emails, we have to travel more, because there's sort of inflation of conversations coming through email and text and Twitter and Facebook, that if someone sends me an email and tells me something about, I'm sorry, I get so many emails per day, right? And I can totally sense that with these are people I know, and I emailed them about my future plans. They don't remember, you know, it's emails. It's just an email, another one of those emails coming through. But when you show up and you show your face and you really explain it face to face and you have a beer with it, which of course in Australia we do all the time, right? I already had 4 today now, I'm joking, but I will have probably many tonight. So this is a very long answer to your question. These kind of events are, and this is not just the music business to be honest, but for what we do, absolutely vital. We have to show up, we have to show our face. Not just to meet new people, but also to show people that we're serious and we're actually doing this. Because, I'm sorry, I get so many emails from everyone every day, it doesn't mean as much anymore.
It's a momentum thing, really, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
And will you be back?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. I think there's, outside of Big Sound, I think there should be and there will be a lot else to explore, of course, in the area. And it was due for me for a long time. It didn't work out this time, but next time it'll be a week longer. There'll be a trip down, probably to Sydney and Melbourne, as you do. Everyone tells me it's beautiful down there, so it's going to be a longer trip for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.